So you got to go in and basically show them how, and bring in the technology and capital to drill a well, or to have a government water pipe run out to that village. They have a feeding program which focuses exclusively on children. Feeding the masses is not a good idea, because then you just get a lot of rice Christians, people coming in because they hear there's food being handed out. And it doesn't promote them learning how to elevate their own life. It just makes them dependent on handouts. Children, on the other hand, it's kind of a different case. And one of the reasons that it's hard to make ground in a lot of these cultures is that the children are so malnourished that their IQ is reduced by 25 points by the time they reach teenage level through malnutrition. Their brains are simply not able to develop properly. And so this childhood nutrition thing, where we feed hundreds of kids, is a great program. And of course we make contacts that way with their family, and they're tracking they can show their increased performance academically as they get basic nutrition. They also have a business training feature where they teach indigenous peoples how to run a business, things that no one has ever taught them before. That you do have to take some of your money and reinvest it. That you have to keep account of the funds. That there have to be policies in place in order to make a business work and not just fall apart. Most people that try to put together a business that's anything more than a guy with a little square full of melons to sell, any effort to expand things beyond that, they simply don't know what they're doing. The things that that probably the typical high schooler would know in America are simply not known there. So they have a business training school. They also work on building other types of infrastructure, bringing in power, bringing in phones, stuff like that. Then they have a micro-lending ministry where if somebody has gone through the business training and wants to start a business of their own, they need some money to get going. And it's often like $1,200, $2,000, something like that, for a startup, enough to buy an old truck or to get a load of product that they're going to take out and sell. And that's a fortune to them. And that would take them decades to save that much money. They couldn't save that much money. We can loan them $1,500 and they pay it back, which is an important component. So it's not a handout program, which is harmful. And they pay it back out of their profits. And since they've been taught how to keep track of profits and how to account for their money and so forth, they actually have extra that they can turn back in. As the money is repaid, it's relent to others. And so the money just keeps turning over that way. Here's our team in Eastern Europe. Down to 2 couples there. But they're still doing good work. Several indigenous churches planted now, and they're led by locals. The main things they're doing when it concerns the poor in this particular area is not as poor as some of these other areas, but they founded a business, an internet business there in town, and they hire locals to come and work and train them, of course, in the skills needed for that. And they're also ministering to alcoholism, which is a huge issue in this part of the world, and prevents, especially men, seem to be like universally alcoholic there. Everybody just drinks themselves silly every night, and it makes it pretty hard to get ahead in the world when you're drunk all the time. So they're trying to minister to that. Here's our team in Taiwan. They live up country, not down in Taipei, working among blue-collar Taiwanese. Right now, they haven't been there that long. They're finishing their acquisition of language and of culture. So there's still more work to do on that. They've started up Bible studies and have particularly having an interesting focus on the imported Philippine wives that Taiwanese bring in from the Philippines. These are almost like slaves. They're very unhappy women because they've been taken away from their family and culture and brought in to be the wives of people with money. And so they're ministering to them and their focus is on the blue collar, the downscale part of that, which is a completely unreached group there. There are Christian groups in Taiwan, but they have universally they have ignored this entire demographic, and so you have a 0.5, half of 1% of those people know anything about God, and it's a relatively poor area. Our team in Cambodia have also not been there that long, but they're now starting to get traction. Our strategies for the poor in Cambodia, the key ones, we've started a medical clinic there where the poor can come in and be treated. And again, health is a huge issue in any one of these situations. Cambodia is one of the poorest countries in the world. This is the country where their entire infrastructure was swept away and the entire intelligentsia of a country killed in a few years' time under Pol Pot. Anyone with education was killed. This country is awash in ignorance. You know, the pictures of Phnom Penh after Pol Pot, you know, they had just trees and shrubs growing right up and through the streets. The whole city had been abandoned for all those years, and they just had to start from nothing, start over again. So they treat the sick there. They're also at the same time training indigenous doctors, of a great need in this culture where there, again, is no education. Education has disappeared there. And at the same time, they're training another class of medical operatives who offer primary medical care. They're not medical doctors, but they would be like a nurse. So that they've been taught basic use of medicine, basic handling of infections, you know, tooth extraction, the kind of things that 90% of the medical needs, in most of these villages, they have no one to do anything. If somebody gets sick, you call a shamanistic healer. There is nothing, no clinic. The nearest clinic would be 90 miles away on a dirt road. They simply can't get there. So a lot of the need, most of it, is not for fully trained MDs, but for these primary care medical operatives, medics that can come in and really meet a lot of needs in these villages. They also hope they have a pool that they're drawing from of people there who are eager to learn the skills of Western medicine. They're Cambodian Christians. And so they also hope to bring the gospel as well as medical help free of charge or nominal charge to these villages and be able to establish house churches there. Secondly, education. A desperate need. The school system in Cambodia is a complete joke because the teachers themselves are uneducated. I talked to one person after another there who said that kids simply don't learn anything in school. They're functionally illiterate when they get out and certainly not prepared to compete in a modern world. We're going to start our own school there. And again, we have a pool of people that are studying at the university there in Phnom Penh, Christian young men and women that want to become teachers. And so we'll have indigenous teachers that we can bring in, and we're going to offer, you know, the capital and the organization for it. And it's up country outside Phnom Penh is where our school is going to be, but near a pretty large city there. And we talk to people there that have started schools, and it is so welcomed, eagerly welcomed by the families who can't wait to get their kids into something where they'll actually learn something. These kids come out of these schools heads and shoulders above everyone else in that society. These are the ones that qualify to get into university. They become the opinion leaders of the country. So I think it's very strategic to try to help children in a setting like that.